Good morning, all of you. Today we shall discuss the remaining topics of module 2, the stack class. So stack is a legacy class, that is one that was present in the Java collections package. So stack is a subclass of vector which implements the last in first out stack. Stack is defined only using the default constructor, which will create a empty stack. So after JDK5, so the stack class has been refitted for generics also with the declaration class stack with E, where E is the type of the element that we will be storing in the stack. So this stack includes all the methods defined by the vector class, and it also adds several methods of its own. The operation that we can perform on the stack is the push operation. So push operation will put an object on the top of the stack, and pop operation will remove an element from the top of the stack. Now, if we try to pop from the stack, when the stack is empty, then it will throw a empty stack exception. Then peek operation is also present. So the peek operation will return the element that is at the top of the stack without removing it. Then we have other methods like the search method. So search method is used to search the given element in the stack. If an element is found, then the offset from the top of the stack will be returned. Otherwise, -1 will be returned. So empty method will return a Boolean value indicating whether a stack is empty or not. So the specific operations that are present in the stack include push, pop, peek, empty, and search. So the operation of the stack, you already are familiar with the stack. It is predominantly used when we want to process the postfix to infix, or to reverse certain things also it is required. And stack is a data structure that is useful when the scheduling take place, and for waiting list also these stacks are used. The next data structure that is present in the legacy class is dictionary. The dictionary is an abstract class which represents a key value storage mechanism, and it operates like a map, which we have already discussed. So given a key and a value, we can store both of them in the dictionary object. So once a value is stored, it can only be retrieved using its key. Just like a map, dictionary can be also thought as a list of key value pairs. Though it is not deprecated, dictionary class is absolute because the same set of features which were there in dictionary are being fully superseded by a map. So, but still dictionaries are in use. So in JDK 5 onwards, so even dictionaries are made as generic, and the definition is it is defined as class dictionary k comma v, where k is the data type of the key and v is the data type of the value. So its working is much similar to the maps which we have studied. The various methods that are present in the dictionary class include the elements method. The elements method returns an enumeration of the values that are present in the dictionary, which means all the elements that are there in the dictionary that will be written, but only values will be written and not the keys. Then get method. So for get method, we have to pass a key and value will be written. If that particular key is not present in the dictionary, then null value will be returned. Then is empty method will return true if dictionary is empty, else it will return false. Then if we want to obtain all the key values, then we can use this method keys, and it will return an enumeration of keys that are in the dictionary. So elements will return the values, whereas key will return all the key values. Then in order to insert a new key value pair into the dictionary, put method can be used. So put key comma value. So the pair has to be inserted into the dictionary, and this method will return null if the key is already present in the dictionary. If already present, then it will return a value. Then remove. This method remove a key and its value from the dictionary. So if the key is not present in the dictionary, then it will return null value. Then size. So size method returns the number of entries that are present in the dictionary. So in order to add a key and a value, we have to use the put method. Get method is used to retrieve the value of a given key. Then both key and values can be returned using the enumerations with the methods, that is key and elements method. So dictionary class is an obsolete class, which means the entire set of features that are present in the dictionary has been implemented in the map interface, because the map interface provides the same key value storage facility. Okay. The next data structure, that is the class, legacy class that is present, is the hash table. So the hash table is part of the original utility package and it's a legacy class, and it is also considered as a concrete implementation of dictionary. With collections, the hash table has been redesigned to implement the map interface. So just like map, hash table is also key and value pairs. So hash table is now integrated into the collection framework, and it is similar to hash map. But the difference is this hash table is synchronized, whereas hash map is not synchronized. So hash table stores key and value pairs in the hash. However, key or values cannot be null. In hash table, uh, at least they should have a value. They can't be null. Both key and value cannot be null. When using a hash table, we can specify what object is being used as a key and the value that we want to link it with that particular key. The key is then hashed and the resulting hash code is stored in the index at which the value is stored in the table. So here the difference is we will specify both key and value. So what happens is whatever key we have specified, that undergoes the hashing process, and then the hash value will be stored, and this resulting hash code is used as an index. At that particular index, value will be stored. Now when we specify a key, it undergoes hashing, and that hashed value is used as an index. And hash table is a generic class, JDK 5 onwards, and it is declared like class hash table k comma v. And this hash table can be created using four constructors. First one is an empty constructor, which is default constructor. The second version is the hash table that has an initial size. So here the default size of the hash table is 11. The third version creates the hash table with size and fill ratio. So fill ratio can be between 0 and 1. And this fill ratio will determine when the hash has to be resized in the upward direction. Then the default value of the fill ratio is 0.75. So the fourth version is the creation of a hash table from the existing set of a map. So hash table defines many methods apart from those that are present in the map interface. So we shall look into those methods. So void clear. So clear method will reset and all the entries that are there in the hash table will be removed. Then clone method returns a duplicate of the invoking element. Then contains method will return true if some values are equal to whatever parameter that has been passed exists in the hash table. So if that value is not present, then it will return false. Then contains key. So contains key returns true if that particular key is present in the hash table, otherwise it will return false. Contains value. This method returns true if a value, whatever we have passed, is present in the hash table. Then elements method. Elements method will return an enumerator to the values that are present in the hash table. Then get to extract the value associated with a key. IsEmpty will verify whether the hash table is empty or not. So then if we want to extract only the key, then we can call keys method. Then rehash method, it increases the size of the hash table and rehashing will be done on all the keys. Means newly hash values will be computed. To insert a entry into the hash table, so put method can be used. So put key comma value pair. So it returns null if key is not already present in the hash table. So if the key is already present, then the older value will be returned. Then remove a key and its value from the hash table. So the current size of the hash table will be returned using the size method. So toString method returns the string equivalent of a hash table. Now we can look into an example program of the hash table now. So look at this program. Hash table we are creating string and double. So string is a key and double is used as a value. So new hash table string comma double. Then we are creating a enumeration on strings. So string balance. So balance is the name of the hash table. So balance put person's name and his balance. So the person name is acting over and this is balance is nothing but a value. So we are adding the 5 entries into the hash table. Then we can obtain the key of all these 5 entries using the method that is key balance.key. Now in the names, what is names? Names is an enumeration of strings. So that is written. Then once we have an enumeration, so then we can put them in the iteration loop and extract the values. So names dot has more elements, names dot next element. So str it will be written and then we will print it. Okay, so balance will print. So str is the next element. It is key. For this key, we can extract its value using the get method. So in the outer loop, we are obtaining the key. For that particular key, we will obtain the value. So it is a two-step process. So first we need to get the key, and then for that particular key, we need to get the value. Then we'll change the value of a particular person by increasing his balance. So once we increase the balance, then again we can print it using the get method. Okay, so the execution is here. So it is not in order. So Todd Hall, so some value 99. So it is here. So all the entries are printed, and one person's balance we have increased. So Joe Doe's earlier balance is 3434. Now it is 4434 because we have changed the value using the get method. So this is a simple hash table. So which is used to create and modify the entries in the hash table. So next we shall look at another legacy class, that is properties. So the properties is a legacy class, but it is still a subclass of a hash table. So this is used to maintain the list of values in which key is a string and value is also a string. So here in properties, both key and value should be strings. So properties class is used by many other Java classes. So the built-in classes will use this class. So an example would be, it is a type of object returned by system.getProperties method. So if you want to obtain the properties of a system, then you can give this command system.getProperties. So for obtaining the environmental values. So although properties is a class, it is not generic class. So the method, it has only one instance variable, that is the properties defaults. So this variable, that is the default, will hold the property list associated with the property objects. So which means it will hold the system properties. There are two constructors for the properties. So one is the empty constructor with no default values. The second one is the one that will create a new property with the default properties. So that default properties we need to pass as a parameter for the constructor. So in both these cases, property list will be empty. Okay. So there are many methods that are present in the properties class. So we shall look into them. So get property method. For that, we will have to pass a key. It returns the value associated with the key. If that particular key is not present, it will return null. Then set get property. Two things are passed, key and default property. So this returns the value associated with the key. So default property is returned if a key is not in the list or not in the default property list. So if key is not found, then whatever value is present in the default property, that will be returned. Then void list, print stream out. So this sends the property list to the output stream, which is linked to stream out. Then void list, print writer. So sends the property list to the output stream, which is being linked to stream out. Then load method. So for this we are streaming, and it is capable of throwing the IO exception. So this inputs a property list from an input stream. So from the input stream, the properties are loaded. Then again, this is also the reader stream. This is the input stream. This is the reader stream. So inputs a property list from the input stream linked to the streaming. Load from XML. So this inputs a property list from an XML document. That's it. So from where we are loading, so based on that, the particular parameter has to be passed. Then property names, this returns the enumeration of the key. So it includes those keys that are found in the default property also. Then set property. So key and value will be passed. So the associated value with the key will be entered in the property class. So it returns the previous value associated with the key, or it returns null if there is no association between the key and value. Then store method. So store method, after writing a string specified by the description, the property list is returned to the output stream. So wherever the output stream is linked, there this will be returned. So output stream can be a file, can be a console window, it can be anything. So wherever the output stream is set, there the description will be written. Then store, again output stream, description will be written. So here the writer will be used. That's it. That's the only difference. And this function is added in the Java Standard Edition 6. Then store to XML. So here the properties which are present, that will be stored in an XML file. So XML file is nothing but a file which is containing the tags, just like your HTML. So in XML, it is also a tag, uh, but user can write their own tags. That's the difference between XML and HTML. So after writing the string specified by the description, the property list is written to a XML document also. Then store to XML, output stream, description and encoding. So the third parameter is the character encoding. We can specify. Then string property names. This returns the set of keys. The set of key that are present in the property class can be obtained using this particular method. So these are the methods that are defined in the properties class. So here is an sample program on properties. So public class property demo. So property capitals. So we are declaring the capitals. So of certain states. Okay. So both should be strings. So that is put, key and value. So this city capital. So Washington capital, California state capital, Indiana capital. So that pair has been set in the properties. Now, if we want to select only keys, then we can say uh, capitals dot key set. So all the states will be written. Now, for each of them, we can iterate and obtain the state names. So name states. So the capital of the name is capitals dot get property string name. So for each state, we can obtain its capital by using the get property method. So for get property method, we need to pass the key value, and the key value is a state name. So that will pass. So its capital will get returned. So just like Karnataka, Bangalore, like that. So we'll pass Karnataka over here, then Bangalore has to be returned. So that is based on this get property method. So if any value is not present, then we can also pass a property by itself. So if Florida capital is not present, then this not found will be returned. So we shall execute and see the output here. Okay, the capital of Missouri is this one, like that version. So Florida, it has written not found. So for when we wanted to obtain the property of Florida, we pass it not found. So if we don't pass this parameter, then it will return null value, and null will be printed. That's it. So in order to avoid null, we can use this second parameter. So One of the most important aspect of properties is that information contained in the properties can be easily stored to the disk, or if it is stored in the disk, we can load them. So at any time, we can write the property object into the stream. So we can redirect it to file stream and store in the hard disk, and we can extract and retrieve them and store in a system variable. So for example, we are computing something and we are storing it in a variable. So once the program terminates, the value that is present in the variable will be lost. So that is gone. If we want, what we can do is after computing the variables which we want, we can store it in a properties, and that property can be stored in the hard disk. Next time when we run the same program, we can load the value that is stored in the hard disk into the variable of our program. So likewise, this uh, properties is useful in serialization. Okay, so this is one of the important functionality or feature that is provided by the properties. So this is about the properties. So finally, our thoughts on collection is, so collection framework gives the programmer a powerful and well-designed solution for some of the common problems or the common task as a programmer do in designing an application. Now the collection framework is generic and it is type safe, which adds further value for a programmer. We need not create stacks, arrays, sorting. Yeah, all those things will be done automatically. We need not bother about it. So programmer can now concentrate purely on the business logic. So consider using a collection whenever you are writing a Java program to store and retrieve the information. So collections are not reserved for a large jobs. So maybe for corporate database, mailing list, or inventory system. They are also effective when we apply them on a small set of functionality also. So tree map would make an excellent collection to hold the dictionary structure of a set of files. And a tree set would be useful in storing the project management information. So like that, each collection class adds a rich set of functionality to a programmer which we can use in our Java course. Okay, so this is about having our thoughts on the collection framework. So with this, we have concluded the module 2 also, and the entire syllabus is complete now, all the 5 modules. So if you have any doubts, then I will just inform over the WhatsApp. At that time, you can join. Only if you have queries, you can raise in those classes. So if class is conducted, I will just inform in the WhatsApp. Otherwise, the classes will not be there. And only if you want any clarifications or doubts, then you can ask in those classes. Okay, and it is not mandatory for all. Okay, only those having the doubts can join and clarify them. So with this, I will conclude today's class. You can put your attendance in the chat window and exit.